better.
Yes, it is.
I love that.
And we lost Dawn.
Okay, we're up on YouTube.
Great.
And I'm gonna make sure that
Just got notification.
Oops.
Hi, Dory. Oh, those two together is going to be interesting.
Did you just hear me swear? Did you hear me swear?
No.
No.
Okay, are we still? We
No.
are still live on YouTube.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, I
Zoom
hope
bleeps
YouTube
out
didn't.
swears.
No one heard me swear?
No,
Nope.
Zoom bleeps it out.
It does?
Does it?
I don't know.
No, it
Remember what they are, Ashley. They'll believe
I have
you.
I have no idea.
confident.
You guys,
I have no idea.
I was gonna say I can't take you anywhere, but that's also what I mean.
Maybe it does. I'll have to ask Dr. Google.
Yeah, you do that. You ask Dr. Google. Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello, ladies.
Hello. So last week I had said, come on with your wing, if possible. And I also said a second thing, which has completely eluded me onto what that potentially was.
To look at, because I just looked at it yesterday, to look at your 10 paths to transformation.
Oh, yeah.
Determine what you wanted to start with.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so on my list of who everyone is that I sent you a photo of, which by the way, detailed Audrey caught that I said that Dawn was number 1 enthusiast. It's actually number 7 enthusiast, but if you're following along on enthusiasts, you know that that's a 7. If you're not following along, it's a 7. If you care. So let's throw it out there and tell me your wing, or tell us your wing, and if you looked up one of your 10 transformation things and how it went. Let's start there, okay?
My wing is a 7. And then it could be a 9, but I'm pretty much a 7. So
Okay, say it again. I don't like this. I need a regular pen.
Can everyone change their name too to include their type so we know
Yes,
that?
yes.
You want us to put our wing on there too, or no?
Sure. You know it, or if you figured it out.
Yeah.
You can go one, your number and then W and then the wing number after it. That's kind of how they do it online.
I'm a 1.
Let me know if anyone needs help.
Perfection.
Where do I go to do that?
I'll help you, Dawn.
I'm on my phone, so
Oh, it could be more challenging on your phone. I'll help you.
Yeah.
What you are.
okay,
I'm a
not on my
7
phone.
wing 6,
Got it.
also known as the entertainer.
No.
Oh.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Nothing should actually really surprise any of us.
No, yeah,
No.
right.
It doesn't. It shouldn't. I mean, well, that surprised Bethany and Audrey only because they haven't been around as long. That's all. Just because they just haven't been around us quite as long. But for everyone else, nothing should be surprising on any of them. I just want to finish my coffee. So we got a wing and someone telling about their.
Okay. Since I didn't talk last week, I can go first. So the enthusiast definitely makes sense for me. Although I don't think the only thing that didn't resonate with me is the running away from pain. But I've never really wallowed in it that long. Like I had other friends who were amazed that I could just be like, in that emotion, be like, wow, this really sucks, and then move on. But they talk about the childhood, and yeah, I was raised by a single mom, and I lived with my grandparents till I was 9, and my grandma passed, and then my grandpa was there. My mom worked 2 jobs and went to school. My dad was not in the picture. Like, he exists, but I never talked to him. Very loving half sisters. So I had a very loving family. But my grandfather also wore hearing aids in both ears. So a lot of times it just felt kind of lonely. And my mom worked so much that by the time she got home at like 8:30 at night, she'd fall asleep in the chair. So I spent a lot of time as a latchkey kid growing up. So that definitely made a lot of sense. Because I had to entertain myself. Like, I made up commercials, and I lived in an awful neighborhood, so I couldn't go out and play if my mom wasn't home. I couldn't answer the phone unless we had a special ring for it, because it was before answering machines. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And looking at my wings, I definitely resonate more with the 6.
I could see that.
Because it's fueled by consciousness of the 6 that give both projects and people more time before moving to the next thing. I don't know if I'm a bit more anxious, but I definitely I've come to actually realize that I am anxious, and it's the freeze. Like, my version of a panic attack is not to do anything. Like, I just kind of freeze.
Mhm.
And it's when doing something, like knowing I should call my customers, or knowing I should send out a mailer or something like that, I get too much in my head about it, which I've gotten a lot better at understanding and recognizing. Being loyal to friends and family with the 6 wings. They're funny, entertaining, and accepting of others. The 8 wing, the competitive, I'm not really a competitive person. I'd be happy if everybody won.
I'm with you, Dawn, for sure.
Yeah, like, it's cool to win. It is definitely cool to win. I like to win, but I see the merits in everybody else's work also. So,
Thank
and
you.
then as far as the paths of transformation, what stuck out to me was number 1, number 2, you suffer from monkey mind. Develop a daily practice of meditation to free yourself from the tendencies to jump from one idea, topic, or project to the next. And since I am extremely late diagnosed ADHD, that is something that I try to fight, because this morning it was, oh, make coffee. No, I got to grab the eggs. No, I have to pee. Where's my phone? What, eggs? No, I'm just going to pee. Wait, oh, I have to take this into the laundry room.
I love that we can work our businesses wherever. So we're here, and today.
Hi.
I don't know, but my phone decided to start talking.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's my thoughts on mine.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the insight. And if I may add the monkey mind thing, because you and I are both 7s. So to repeat what Dawn said, you suffer from monkey mind. Develop a daily practice of meditation to free yourself from your tendency to jump from one idea, topic, or project to the next. Love that. I think that Miracle Morning has been super helpful with that. I know Dawn working on starting that as well. And if I may add, if this ever comes with any of you, and Dawn, this has been something that I have found great help in. Rhonda is a partially an enthusiast also. Rhonda, does this happen to you with the monkey mind jumping around?
Oh, yeah.
So what I allowed was instead of on my walks in the morning, I was trying to just be one focus on one thing. I was praying. And I decided probably, I don't know, sometime maybe after picking this book up or whatever, I thought, okay, that's not working. So I allowed myself the monkey mind. So I literally allow myself when I'm on my walk to let whatever's going to come in, come in. Come and go, come and go, come and go, come and go. And sometimes I do box on my walk. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm still praying. Sometimes I'm formulating an idea for us, an event, whatever, something one of you said. How could I take what one of you said and formulate it into a training, like, or a wedding dress or a nail color, of which I now have 4 on today because we're trying to figure that out. So I'm gonna need some help with that. And literally just allowed the walking time that let it go. Let it do whatever it's going to do. Don't yell at it. Don't be mad at it. Let it do its thing. And then I felt like if I did that, then when I get back, walk in the house, okay, maybe you got to write it down. Maybe you got to pull out your notes on your phone. And okay, how are you going to go forward? And then saying out loud, Dawn, okay, now get in the shower. Because I do it. Okay, now get in the shower. Okay, now do Vox. Okay, you said after your walk, you were going to do this. Say it out loud and then go do it. So I love that you picked that one. And remember, the healing message that we need to hear is God will take care of us. And he always does. And he always has. He always will. Here we are, still alive, all these years later. Who else would like to share? Thanks, Donnie. I will.
Sure, I will.
Oh, Dory had her hand raised earlier. I forgot. She actually did have her hand raised before, except you can't see it. You can't see it. She's on it. Okay, well, we don't really have a very good setup here. We're just kind of dangling. I'll take a little QB, like there ain't one. Okay, I'm the perfectionist, and I saw that immediately because that's I saw me, and I'm having a little trouble nailing down 2 wings, or do you only get 1? I got the 2 wing, 2, as in I am the 2, and I see that a lot as that's what helper. I do that a lot. I help a lot. I also don't helper. Huh? Helper? Yes. Okay. I don't require a lot of praise. In fact, I shun it because I think I'm doing something for somebody. I want it to be for them. So I don't know what category that comes out. I'm really a mixed up mess over here.
I think 1 wing 2 would be accurate, Nan. That also happens to be what I am.
Anger?
No, 1 wing 2.
1 wing 2. Okay. Okay. 1/2 wing of 2. Okay, that's what I think I am, because I looked at the number 9, which is anger, and you know, I mean, yeah, I get upset with stuff, but it goes away. That didn't seem to fit as accurately as being the helper. But again, the 2 wing, they require stuff. I don't require anything back. I just want to do what I want to do, and I want it perfect. So
you require no one to reply back.
right. So yeah, it's weird, huh? I'm it's like looking in a mirror that's got some wiggly lines in it, and you're trying to figure out where you should stand so that line makes it more perfect.
So
yeah.
page 108 has the
Wow.
transformation, so you might need to just turn to that page.
Where is it? What 108. 108. 57 years, and I'm getting insight into my mother that I didn't know. Crazy. 108. Oh, and now you don't have to be perfect. You can be good. That's good. That's accurate. 109. Oh, 109. Okay, so sit there and think about that.
Okay, I read this last night several times. Well, I don't think it's stuck.
It's okay.
Okay.
Just, why don't you just quietly sit here and read one of those and figure out which one that you'll proceed with next? Sit here quietly. Can you sit here quietly? Never. Well, the next person goes. That's what I was looking for there. Well, the next person goes. Okay, who else would like to go? Thank you. Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Audrey.
Audrey.
So last week I was really confused as to what I was and made at that point to like kind of read the book. But after I got all the way through chapter 4, which is the romantic, that one really hit home. So like as I was reading through the rest of them, they weren't. So the romantic is definitely describes me a lot more. To include things about like feeling like I never really belonged, feeling that there's something like essential that's lacking in me. But what didn't hit home was that people say that I'm too intense and that my feelings overwhelm them. That's something that I've never really encountered with anybody. But as I was like reading through things, I'm thinking part of the reason I had such a hard time discerning what I was is I actually fit into a healthy 4. So not into an average and not into an unhealthy. So in the healthy 4s, they have a considerable emotional range and they manage it by not speaking or acting on every feeling they have. They know they don't have to be special to win God's unconditional love. And these 4s have found a way to live, for the most part, outside the pattern of shame and inferiority. They are deeply creative, emotionally honest and connected, and attuned to beauty. So I think just over the years with like meditation and focusing on things that I found were not a positive attribute of myself, I had already worked myself into that way. So as I was reading Into the Wings, I'm a 4 with a wing of 3, which 3 was the smallest wedge on my pie chart. So I thought that was really kind of strange that that was my wing. But that wing says that like I become competitive with my energy and I strive to be the best at like whatever it is that I'm trying to do. And that I may like balk at being told to do things in a particular manner, but that's because I want that creativity side of me to flourish. And that people that are a 4 wing 3 are usually more productive, turning dreams and ideas into reality. So I was like, that definitely fits a lot with how I've perceived myself. And then 10 paths to transformation for 4s. This is all stuff too, again, that I've been kind of working on for years, not even knowing anything about the Enneagrams.
Yeah.
But the one that comes to me the most like recent is the line about, where was it? What did you? I just read it before. Where was it?
The 10
Don't wallow in suffering, but figure out what's causing it and do what you can to heal it. So one of the things about a 4 is that they don't like being helped. So if they're struggling with something, they're like somebody trying to help them figure it out and comfort them actually will have an opposite reaction to a 4. And I've noticed that as well. So like yesterday I was struggling with something and my husband wanted to come help me and I like snapped at him and I'm like, no, I don't want your help. And then I was like, wait a minute, Steve, I appreciate you wanting to come help me, but I am bound and determined to fix this myself. I was like, please respect that. And he was like, okay. So just kind of learning to like really know what those emotions are and to like portray them or relay them to somebody else
Yeah,
in a
identify.
way that they can hopefully understand without them being hurt by it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also probably why your knee is hurt in the first place, because you wouldn't ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm stubborn.
Yeah.
Yeah. May I add, do you know what he is?
I did not figure out what he was while reading the book.
Okay.
I figured out what my youngest was, and then she took an Enneagram, and she's like, "So, Mom, what did you think my number was?" And I told her, I was like, "I'm pretty sure you're a 9." And she goes, "Yeah, that's what the test came out with too." I was like, "Oh, okay."
I love that. I love that because it's just can only help you with parental relationship when you know
Right.
who other people in your life are. About what you said to your husband, this is like a marital thing, but also just in general, a way to honor someone, like honoring your parents, honoring your kids, spouse, is allowing them to do the thing that honors them. So him helping you, even though it's not in your normal MO, him helping you honors him because he's trying to help you. And how you wanted it was not, and I may have said the very same thing in your situation. Last night Terry was hugging me just more than anything. He wanted to hug me, and I just felt like squished, and that's not normally my MO. And I'm just like, oh. But I just stood there. I was like, he is literally trying to honor me right now, so I'm gonna allow that. So I put like his need over mine, and sometimes we have to put someone else's need to honor them,
Mhm.
right? Just to give them the ability to honor the one they're trying to honor. Yeah. So much. Holy man. Yeah.
I wish I could add about 40 years to my life so I could do it over.
Wouldn't that be great? I second
Yeah.
that.
Do-overs. Can I have some do-overs? Because I
Yeah.
know I've made some serious missteps just trying to handle a normal situation, and I was struggling with it. And, you know, this would have been nice back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go back with the knowledge, not let's just go back. So,
Yeah, but it's made us who we are. And now we can really appreciate learning these things. Yeah, I am definitely the positive person. Okay.
yes, you are.
But yeah, I mean, we are who we are because of those missteps, because of that miscommunication. And I have thought about the fact that it'd be very interesting to go back in time and look at my ex-boyfriends and how now as an almost 50-year-old I would go, oh my god, you're such a narcissist. Oh my god, you are just Peter Pan, you're never going to grow up, and just run away from them. But it's, and I thought about that a couple years ago when one of my friends that I've had for at least 20 some years, she was sitting in my living room and we were talking about neck injuries, or we were talking about something else, and I noticed she wasn't moving her shoulders. And I asked her about it. And yeah, she was actually born with two vertebrae fused together. But I never noticed it when we were younger, when I hung out with her, when we went dancing, that she didn't move her neck like normal people did. It wasn't until I was in multiple car accidents and went, that's what I did, of not moving myself properly, that I actually realized that. So by learning these things, we start to recognize them, and we just need to be grateful that we're learning them now.
Yes, absolutely. You forgive yourself for what you didn't know. You only had you know, how you handled something yesterday is how you handled it yesterday. This is the information you have today. Now we take this and we move forward with it. Yeah. Trace, you had your hand up. Thanks, Dawn. Thanks, Audrey.
Yeah, I was just actually going to comment, Lisa, on what you were saying and about, you know, like you were saying to honor the person. It also occurs to me, and this is part of my struggle, not my struggle, my awareness as I delve into my numbers. I also have to remember that currently members of my family or people I'm interacting with, when I start to come at them with this newfound information and awareness, they may not have the same information and awareness. And I can't be angry if they aren't responding appropriately.
Right.
So that was just the comment I was going to make. As I'm listening to you, I was like, yeah, but then I also, at least for me, because that's where my head goes. Hey, what's wrong with you? Oh, don't you know better? Which is crazy. That's
And they don't have this, remember that, they don't have this,
no.
right?
And
You come home from Dallas, you come home from a retreat, you come home from Monday night and you're like, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting like you just watched the news for 7 hours? Oh, because you did? Well, that's not what I just did.
exactly.
They're like, be as happy and yeah. And then you have this new information exactly like you just said, and they don't have that yet. And then you're trying to set also a new boundary, and then they don't get that. And boundaries are messy when you start setting them with yourself and with others.
Yep.
Because you always did it this way and now you're not. Or you said you were going to stand up for yourself, but you never did. Oh, but this time you are? Well, I'm going to push all those buttons because I don't believe you're going to stand up for yourself this time either.
Yep.
Except that you do. And the pushback will be even harder. And the baby gate has to go back up at the top of the steps even more when they're 20 than when they were 3. Stephanie. Aye.
That's my weekend.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Trace. Yeah, we have to be patient with the rest of the world that they're not in this with us yet. Yeah. How about yourself, Trace?
Well, I I texted Lisa when I was sitting in an appointment and reading about the helper, and I was just like, oh my goodness, I really am too. It was so in my face. It was crazy. And I was kind of chuckling, Dory, as I was listening to you describe, because we're sort of parallel. So you're 1 wing 2, I'm a 2 wing 1. And so I hope that means we complement each other. I feel like we do. I actually took a second test, which identified me as a 2, or I mean a 1, a perfectionist. So that's why I'm leaning towards wing 1, because I think I'm 2 all day long. But I also exhibit some of the wing characteristics of 3. Not all of them. I feel like I definitely exhibit all of the wing 1 characteristics, but there's like some of wing 3, and I don't know if it's meaningful or if you guys just want to look back to see what those are. The one thing that I recognized in myself with the 3 is it talked about strong self-image can shape shift and become whatever is called for them to achieve desired results. Ooh, scary chameleon, but that's me for sure. So yeah. And I was also intrigued because I have been, my husband Rick and I have actually been having some really healthy conversations as we navigate. We've been self-employed exclusively for a year with independent projects, and he's shifting. And so we've been having some really healthy conversations as we prepare for what the next couple of years are going to look like. And so even as reading this, I realized I'm already employing in the 10 paths of transformation. The first thing was that rather than hinting at your needs or leaving it to others to figure them out, try telling them directly. That was actually an epiphany I already had and have been putting that into practice. So I was joyful that I saw like, oh, I'm already doing that. Okay, this will reinforce that I'll absolutely keep focusing on that. But then the thing that I really am improving is number 3, which is don't reflexively say yes to everything. When somebody asks for your help, say you'll get back to them with an answer once you've had time to think about it, or just experiment with the word no. It is a complete sentence.
Yes.
And yeah, it's so true.
Is doing what I'm doing right now getting me closer to my goals and dreams?
Right. Right.
And that's not necessarily just a Mary Kay question. That is literally every question. You can have an alarm set on your phone every day, all day, every hour. Is doing what I'm doing right now getting me closer to my goals and my dreams? Or is doing what I'm doing right now really one of my living in my integrity? Or is this in my values? Or is this how I live? Is what I'm doing right now faith, family, career? If not, maybe you need to check yourself. Like literally that's what the alarm says, not Tracy, check yourself. Like check yourself, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It's mind blowing. This is so fun.
I think so too. Thank you. Who else wants to share?
Well, I didn't know you had to go through the 10 paths. I do remember Ashley kind of talking about it, so I did kind of read through them. One of the things that I find interesting going through this is like, okay, I'm 62 and there's like some things that I read and I'm like, oh, back in the 20s, oh, that was my major one. I am always right. I don't care who you are and you're not going to mess with me. And it's like, and then you kind of grow and you get a little bit better at not being so in your face about that. So that was kind of fun to kind of go back and see where some things have changed and I've definitely, some things have not changed. But I got stuck into the stress and security part. And I realized the last couple of months that I have fallen really heavy in the stress area. And then I was reading it and then I just started kind of chuckling because that puts me in the investigator role, which is what my husband kind of is. And I'm like, oh, that explains a lot because both of us cannot reside there. We will kill each other. So I'm like, nope, nope, we're going to get out of that right now and moving on. So that was kind of the, yes. And so, but definitely a 7. But I think my 7 came out more as I own Snapdragon because you have to. You can't be that bull in the china shop because that'll frighten them. So that became more the MO than the bull. And Denise and Angelina all helped with that. And I learned not all people understand sarcasm, which I totally was blown away. So
Really on that.
don't understand that. So yeah, that was shocking. You get enough people crying, you kind of realize that maybe that's true. So
Yes. Yes. I like what you said about two of the generation, because we have 3 generations on here, right? Yes. Yes. So how you're absorbing, oh, I almost tipped off. Wait. Okay.
Oh, gee.
How almost fell off the chair in slow motion and none of you could see it.
I know the chair and I know what just happened.
Is that how Cece's processing this right now is different than how her grandmother's processing it, even though you guys are very similar in this, because of your generation and your life experience. Simply your life experience will be different on how you respond to all of it. Yeah, and how you choose to move yourself in that transformation. And I find it interesting that I think when things come up in your life, okay, so the Enneagram, when you're the healthy version of you, the average and the not. And I think situations come up in your life that will move you in those. But it's then how quickly are you going to sit in it? It's like the emotional cycle, right? The emotional cycle of a goal. There's that emotional cycle of a goal. It's very briefly, but it's, excitement, action, frustration, disappointment, recommitment, action, frustration, disappointment, recommitment, action. It's like this constant thing. And it's like the faster you go through that, when the things happen, the faster you get to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll stop my sentence. Who else? Anyone else? More?
Ashley, go. Okay, I'll go. I heard 2 names. So being the helper, you had posed a question to the helpers. I don't know if you remember last time or
Yes,
last
I
week.
do.
And I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. But it was, is the excuse or the reason that you can't help someone that you already are committed to helping someone else? And I found that interesting because in the past, I know a lot of times like I wouldn't commit to like certain things because I had already booked myself with another thing. And there are other times where I'm like, oh, I'll have time to help everybody. And I would like literally like give myself no time to drive from place to place or like grab lunch or a coffee. And I would just run myself ragged. And my arm is being the performer. And being the performer, I used to always think that if I couldn't finish or fix or do what I said I was going to do, then that looked bad on me and I would beat myself up and, go down the spiral and I would just disconnect from everybody and drop out. And I remember doing that even as a teenager when I was like a manager of a store at 16 when you're not supposed to be legally in Wisconsin, but whatever. I would just like not respond to my boss and because I made a mistake and I was ashamed and I couldn't do what I had promised to do and I would just hide. And because I felt like I hadn't performed the best I could possibly perform. And so I want to answer your question from last week though is I've become more aware of the fact that I overbook myself and I'm learning to be more transparent with people, even perfect strangers. Like, hey, I think I should be able to do it at this date or this time, but these are the factors that may bar me from completing that properly. I'm learning to communicate that better. And occasionally, like, I'll forget and then I'll go, oh, I'm sorry, I missed out, my bad. But I'm learning to be more cognizant of the fact that, hey, I've got like 3 kids, I've got 4 jobs, I have a lot on my plate. So stuff comes up that I'm like, I can only do what I can do. And if there's not enough time in the day, there's not enough time in the day. So then looking at the path of transformation, like I think the strongest one for me is the first one for the number 2s, which is rather than hinting at your needs or leaving it to others to figure them out, try telling them directly, which goes immediately to my answer of how I'm trying to work on that communication so that, someone doesn't have an expectation of me not knowing the other factors. Not that I'm making excuses, I'm just informing them these are other factors that are going along with what's happening in my day or around the time that I hope to be able to help you. And so it's not that I'm less of a helper and I don't beat myself up as much anymore about it. It's that I know I can't do all the things and I'm admitting I want to do all the things, but I'm not going to be able to do all the things. And so
See that big thing waving right there?
It's on her phone. She might have. Did you see me?
Here's another one.
Oh, but I waver between the healthy, average, and unhealthy, like depending on who I'm dealing with. I know there are certain people that bring out the unhealthy in me immediately, and I'm like, oh yeah, oh wait, no, I shouldn't say yes. And then there are other people where I'm like, it's like my brain is categorized how I can deal with them, and I've established how our relationship can be a healthy relationship. So, I feel like my relationship with my children, because they're young, it's on the more unhealthy side because they're learning boundaries just as much as I'm learning boundaries. And so, like, the stories I get to tell you just from the last 24 hours, like, I'm just happy I'm alive and they're alive.
Yeah.
It's I can understand that, Bethany.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then like, because I identify more with the performer side of that, I feel like I've reached that average closer to the healthy portion because the average, they're the overachievers. Well, for example, since I'm one of the newer people, like my senior year in college, I had 18 credits, 2 senior sems, and 6 jobs. That's just that was normal to me. And I slept couple hours, 3 hours at a time. And I somehow survived. And I think I got straight A's, maybe a B in there, but I was an overachiever. Like I was performing and I acted, I believe, in 2 shows and sound design 3. Like it was just go, 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 go. Like my schedule was this and this and this, and I just went. And I lost out on friendships. Like I kind of damaged some friendships because, they couldn't understand why I couldn't hang out every day. And I'm like, well, this is what's going on, bye. Gotta go. But now that I am a little bit older, I've moved past the I need to have so much going on all the time. I'm able to focus more individually on situations now, like with my kids, and absorb the emotional connection that I have with them. Not saying it doesn't end up in chaos sometimes, but I'm not always on a stage. I'm not always performing. I'm not laying such heavy expectations on myself that I did 10, 15, 20 years ago, where it was like, I got to get everything done and I got to be the best at it and I got to do all that. I'm still driven. I still want to achieve a lot of things. I still have very lofty goals. And some of them I realize are like maybe 5 years instead of 5 months down the road. But, I want to achieve them as quickly as possible, given the situation I'm in. So, yeah, there we go. That's what I got for you today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I felt like you worked through some stuff while you were sharing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Anyone else? Loyalist, are you going?
Yeah, I can go. So, I've been having a really hard time not being negative about my result. So just in general, like reading about myself, that's always hard, when you read about yourself and you're like, oh, I do that. So I had to like really think about the positives of being who I am, and really put into perspective that being cautious doesn't necessarily mean that you're unhealthy, right?
Right.
And having a plan B doesn't necessarily mean you're unhealthy, right?
Right.
So, so my wing is, so it's 5, but I think that as I continue to branch out and continue to work on myself, I'm turning into more of a 7. Because wings of loyalist are either a 5 or a 7.
What's the 5?
The 5 is
Investigator.
Hold on.
Observer. Investigator.
And then the 7 is enthusiast.
Okay.
So, and the reason I say that is based off of what it says, because it says that 6s with a 7 wing are a delightful surprise, reflecting the playfulness of 7. They are entertaining, animated, and adventuresome, and they're willing to risk, albeit only a little, so the boundaries of the 6 are stretched to accommodate more options. And then it also says that, but the 6 with the 7 wing doesn't completely separate from their anxiety, so there is always a backup plan in case an adventure becomes a misadventure, which is what I always do. I mean, like I always have a backup plan in place. I have 2 bank accounts in case one of them gets hacked. I mean, come on. That's a backup plan. I always have a backup plan in case something happens. And they're far more extroverted, which I don't like extroverted and introverted, that term, because I think it's been used, like Lisa, you've shared that with us, that it's been used, not in the right light for a long time, but
yeah,
you can be extroverted without being like, so I don't feel like I'm that way, but I'm extroverted in certain situations. So I don't know. But then I look at 5 and I see things that could definitely be part of me there. So I feel like I might be like kind of an in-betweener at this point.
An in-betweener.
In-betweener.
So one of the
I have
things
two wings.
that which is possible. One of
Yeah.
the things that the book said is, remember, none of these are better than any of the other ones. You
Mhm.
are who you are. And when you embrace fully who you are and I think live in that healthy zone, and
Yeah.
then we use it with our strengths for strength finders, we use it with DISC. It's just another tool to help us figure out why we do what we do and how we can really like be the healthiest version of ourselves, right? And we need all of them. If you are surrounded by all sevens, nothing will ever get done, but it'll be fun doing it. You cannot have a unit full of sevens, or we will just have fun everywhere we go, and there'll never actually be an event because we'll just talk about having an event, and just talking about it will be fun enough for us. And then we'll forget to actually book it. Okay. We can't have a unit full of Ashleys, or else we'll talk about all the reasons why the event's going to go wrong and never actually book it either, because surely it's not going to work. Okay. So I'm just literally giving you the extreme of both. Okay. But we need everybody all the time. We have to bounce off the different personalities. We all have our role. We all have our role, and we fill it beautifully when we're together. And something that they always tell us in leadership in Mary Kay is to have diversity. And I'm like, I have, me and the things I claim. I have been claiming for years, diversity is not just the culture you're from. That's not just a color. That's not just a nationality. That is not just a religion. Diversity is raised by single mom, raised by wealthy people, raised by college educated, raised by someone who didn't graduate, raised in the country, raised in the city, raised an only child, raised with 12 siblings, raised. To me, it's the diversity is how you come together and all the different your experiences that brought you to where you are now. It's not just where you lived. It's not just your color. It's not just your culture. Diversity to me is so much more, so much more. And I'll die on that hill. So this is a perfect example because we have, let's see, how many actually, is there 12 of us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of us. And there's only 3 enthusiasts. And at that, Rhonda's a half a one. And like 3 helpers, a couple of peacemakers, and 1 loyalist, 1 challenger, and no 5s. There are no 5s. What's your 5? What's your wing is a 5? What is the 5?
That's
Investigator.
Investigator.
Oh yeah. I just find it interesting. I just finding this interesting. So I think this business attracts a certain personality. I've always thought that. Also, Dawn, to your ADHD comment, this business actually, entrepreneurs in general, entrepreneurs are attention deficit, can't sit still, all the things, because we don't be told what to do and can't function, don't be told. Okay. So it's like the entrepreneurs, people that don't like a schedule and all that, we're attracted to entrepreneurs because don't tell me what to do, which is a lot of personality styles, and put the umbrella of entrepreneur.
Yeah.
If you wanted to be told what to do, you'd work for someone else. I don't want to be told what to do.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Can
Yeah.
I share my-
Yeah. So I think that, yeah, so to come back to you, Ashley, with all of this is that we need all of this diversity, and we need it on our leadership team, and we need it as we're planning events, and we need it, in our red jackets, and we need it as we're moving into leadership. Like we need all of the different personalities and the ideas, because it also gives us a different perspective. Because I have easily said to Ashley, oh, I never thought of it that way. I haven't. I only have different bank accounts because they are called things like money and wedding and trips.
Should I share, Mom, and then you can take us home?
Yeah.
Okay. This has been great. I love hearing from all of you and what you're finding. So I'm a 1 wing 2, and I also encourage you guys to like use the suggestions, which I think stems from that original like chart, right, where the arrows point across to other numbers.
Yeah.
To help you understand what could be possible. So interestingly, I think 2 goes to 1, but 1 doesn't necessarily go to 2. Anyway, I just pulled from the chapter where it suggests what a wing might be for a 1, and it was 2 or 9.
So you are a 2?
Correct. 1 wing 2.
Okay, you have 4 up there.
Oops, that's not right. Sorry. Well, I think what initially looking at them, like just reading them. Okay, I'm a 1, so I'm following the rules.
Yes.
Just looking at them, you can pick and say, oh, I'm probably that. But I would go off of what the book is suggesting because the book is telling you the right thing to do. Okay, well, whatever, do what you want. I follow the rules. So anyway, yeah, 1 wing 2. So definitely the helper, but I definitely think it's definitely lesser. And just briefly before this, I actually just went on and found one of those random quizzes, and it was that pie chart, and it was a big chunk of 1 and a big chunk of 2. So I felt good about that assignment. And going back to the beginning of chapter 1, reading just the descriptions of being healthy and what are the words? I always want to use their words. Yeah, healthy, average, and unhealthy. And back to what you said too, Bethany, I think we all find ourselves within each category depending on a situation and conversation. And then with what you said, Mom, it's just a matter of how quickly we can jump back into the healthy. Because you certainly see yourself in those things, right? Like an unhealthy, fixate on small imperfections, obsess with micromanaging, and asserting control over something or someone is their only relief. And I can certainly think of situations in which I've done that and then can recognize, oh, that's just because I wanted it to be perfect, not because I actually cared about who I was dealing with or the situation itself. So then you can jump back to, okay, I'm trying to micromanage that a little bit. Let's back up. How can I serve this person by allowing them to do it maybe differently than I would? Dishwasher, man. Right. And like just appreciating the person or the situation for what it is. So I appreciated that perspective as well. The transformation. So going through them again, interestingly, I think when we first did this, Mom, correct me, it was like, I think I was living in Milwaukee. So like 2018, 19, like we went through this a long time ago, or it was brought to our attention a long time ago. So yeah. It was interesting to go back to it and say like, oh yeah, I'm actually better at that. I'm better at that. I'm better at that. But what stood out to me is number 6 in the transformation for 1s on page 109 is, if you find yourself procrastinating, think about the reason why. Are you reluctant to get going on our task or project because you're afraid you won't be able to accomplish it perfectly? I twitch. The answer is always yes.
You didn't even have to finish the sentence and I knew your answer was yes.
Yeah, right. So I appreciate just asking the question out loud, literally saying, am I just afraid I can't do this perfectly? Okay, well then back up and just do it badly. It's fine. Yeah, so, but like those first 3 or 4, I'm like, yes, I do that. Yes, I'm better at that. I'm better at that. I'm better at that. And receiving criticism and try to accept it without being defensive. That's something I'm certainly still working on as well. But like a lot of those things I feel really good about. And it's so interesting to me because 1 and 2 seems so different. But then reading through on page, whatever that would be, then 110, what it's like to be a 2. Like I resonate with a lot of those things as well. So just interesting to see how different things can, resonate with you, and or maybe not all of it, right? But just to give yourself a track to run on. And like you were saying, Mom, it's not the end all be all, right, to who we are. Of course, our individual experiences are going to make us very different. Like Nanny and I are both probably one wing too, but we both have very different experiences that allow for us to be that. So yeah, I mean, don't let it like discourage you. It's just stating things that could resonate with you, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't. That's okay.
Yes. And if at any point you ever, thank you, Cece, if you guys ever want to get the bigger one, Rhonda and I have been going through this. This is fascinating. This is more of it. This would take us a year to get through. Later, Ash. Like if you guys really, we won't, because after 4 weeks of doing this, you guys, we gotta find something else to do and move on, because the enthusiast, will be bored and won't care anymore. I shall not care anymore. Because 4 weeks gives you a good insight and a good start and whatever. And then, because some book studies, when you do them, resonate. Have you ever just had somebody be like, oh, you gotta read this book right now, put every other book down you're reading and you gotta read this one right now, and you're like, okay, trust the person, whatever, and you're fine, and you do it, and then you're like, no, whatever. That's because that's where that person was when they were reading it. So when my friend recommended this book to me, her and her husband took like a week off of work. They went on vacation, they cried, they worked together, they did all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'll try that with my husband too. And he reads it and he's like, I don't get it. And I'm like, okay. Well, different paths in their life are just different, right? And their experiences just brought them somewhere different. So my point about that is 4 weeks on a book study is plenty of time on a book study. And then if you choose to get, because I think because it's based on your experiences as a kid, and it's connected, it's godly connected. I like it. And it's because it's been around so long, all of it. There's just a lot of different reasons that I like it. And it doesn't change. You are who you are. And I like the ones where it doesn't change. So like your strength finders, that's who you are. That's not going to change. So be in the balcony of the strengths, right? And all those different things. What does change is DISC. Disc personality style can change, and you can literally, as a leader in this company, and I have seen it, be a DISC straight across, equal in all of them, because a lot of it's learned. So when I had babies, my S came out like crazy. And when I'm at an event, you're seeing the DI. And then when I'm, having fun, it's only the I. And then, the C is never, 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 never there. Okay. And so that's just things that can fluctuate, and things that you use, you learn, you use them, whatever. Yeah. So DISC, we'll get to that actually at another time for sure. But another book that I would also really like to recommend for everyone is Boundaries. Because that would be a very easy sequel to everything that we're doing. Could be the book Boundaries. And I actually started reading it for someone else, to help someone else. And I got about 3/4 of the way through it, and I was like, I'm a rock star. I'm going to keep reading this. This doesn't apply to me. I'm hustling through this book. And then all of a sudden, it was like race car, spin a tire, spin around, and halt. Oh, I have trouble with those boundaries. Oh, okay. And then I was like, all of a sudden the book applied to me. And it has been magnificent. So we'll probably do that one at another time. When we get into that, I'll just give you a lot of heads up time on that. That'll take a while. You've even heard me teach on it a little bit. So to wrap it up for next week, okay, come with another transformation thing that you think has been helpful, and how, like, just really like paying attention in the next week. Like, how is knowing more of what you are, giving yourself some grace if you were doing something not so great, giving yourself grace on about it, like maybe like a lesson that you learned. You know, oh, I didn't know that about myself before, and now I do, but I gave myself grace and decided this is how I'll move forward. Something like that. Something like maybe a way that you found that because you now know this about yourself, you could go, oh, okay, that all makes sense. That all makes sense to me now. And like another like thing on the list of the transformation that you were able to use or work on. Those are just 2 things. Work on one, work on both, or none. Speak next week or don't. This is all very flowy. This is very bendy like a willow. Okay? All right, tomorrow night's Dream Big. Wednesday night is Lori Hogg for Stars. And
Tonight is ETE.
And tonight is ETE at 7. I'm excited for that. Come look in your Sharpiest sharp, sugar sharp. All right, love you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.